Guys, I'm going to show you the easy way to change your rear shocks and springs on any 93 to 02 F body. So you're going to take these panels out. You got to start with this sun visor privacy shade thing, whatever you want to call it. You pop it out, no tools required. You take the driver's side one off. There's these little lock things. You change them to unlock, pop that out, pop the driver's side out. You can I fold my back seat down, so that was helpful, because then you pull the carpet up, fold that forward. You're going to see these little white foam pieces. I got them laying around in here. These things, they're going to be like this under the carpet. You pull those out, then you're going to see the tops of your original shocks. Now what you're going to do is you're going to get a socket on there. You're going to try to take it off, and if that doesn't work, then you're going to have to get a slightly adjustable crescent wrench, grab onto the post of the shock, and then rotate the nut off from there. Once you have the top nuts off, you'll be able to start playing with the rear. So what you're going to do is you're going to climb under the car like I am right now. There's only this one nut holding the rear shock on both sides. One nut there, one nut there. These are my new shocks, so that's why they're all shiny. On my car, as you can see, the rear end is very rusty. These shock bolts were very, very rusty. I had to use a very, very high power drill from my friend to get these shocks off. So once we got these bolts off, the shock quite literally fell onto the ground. So that's cool. The spring, the stock spring, is much higher, much taller than these springs are. So what we had to do is get the rear end on a normal car jack with a piece of wood right on the front of the diff there, and we lowered the rear end a little bit. Springs still weren't coming off because they were so long from the factory. My dad got a big crowbar and put it up under this spring, pried the spring off of the rear end. Spring fell onto the ground. The isolator came with it on this side. The other side, the isolator stuck onto the car, but you just put your hand up there and you could pull it down. It was no big deal. So then the new rear spring, you simply pop it up and then onto this perch here, onto that little perch. There is no hardware actually holding the spring onto the car. It's just the weight of the car sandwiches the spring onto the differential. This axle, I mean, you know, the rear end. Then the new shock, I put it up through the top, got the top loosened, and then we put these bottoms in, tighten them down really snug, and that's it. The rears are very easy on this car. The hardest part is getting the top to tighten without the post of the shock tightening with it. So what I had to do was grab onto the top of the shock with some vice grips and then tighten the bolt down separately. Kind of a pain. I wish these shocks weren't like that, but apparently that's a very common thing for shocks, is to have that post turn with the shock as you're turn with the nut as you're trying to tighten it. Kind of annoying. If I was going to make shocks, I would make the post not turn with the nut, but you know, these shocks were pretty cheap and the performance of them is very good, so I can't complain too much. But that's really all you do. You go in from the top, you loosen it up from under the carpet, you loosen this up, pop the shock out, pop the old spring out, pop the new spring in, bolt the new shock down, tighten the shock up top, put the interior back together, and you're done. Then, if you use lowering springs like I did, you're going to have to get one of these, an adjustable panhard bar. I have another video on how to do that. Feel free to watch it. All you're going to do is unbolt this, unbolt the same bolt on the other side of the car, and then take your measurements, which I show you how to do that in my other video. And then you adjust the length of this to center the rear end after you've lowered the car. That's all there is to it. The rears on these cars are very simple. The biggest problem I had was rust, the rusty bolt. But if you have a very high-powered impact drill, you should be fine. Now I have another video on how to do the fronts of these cars, so feel free to watch that. My method of the front is a little different than most people's, but it worked for me and it was quite easy. So thanks for watching. Any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'll try to help you out. Lots more F-body content coming. This car here, this black V6 Firebird, is going to the racetrack very soon. This Trans Am, probably not, considering it's broken. But there will be a lot more content coming on this vehicle soon, so don't worry. But the V6 is definitely the star of the show for the time being. Any questions, comments, concerns, comment them down. I'll try to help you out. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys.